Hello everyone, this is Josh Hayes here. I have something really cool to show you, okay? And it's about my Xiegu X6100 radio. As you can see, this right here is the not G90. See, I have a G90 radio as well, and I love Xiegu radios. They're really nice. And this Xiegu X6100 radio, it's a really nice radio as well. And I'm going to show you the software and firmware for this radio. By the way, my G90 radio, it's like one of the best radios for my digital modes. It's so easy using the DigiRig Mobile for my digital modes, and it gives me good 20 watts, for my digital modes. Now this radio right here, okay, this radio, for me, it's just a great portable radio. And not only that, it's a nice QRP radio, and I literally have worked other countries on 5 watts with this radio. Russia, Germany, France, Canada, and I've worked the United States, really well. I was even 5'7", 5'9", something like that to other countries. And this is basically like a walkie-talkie too, and I've talked to Canada walkie-talkie style with 5 watts with a whip antenna with about a 12.5 foot counterpoise or ground plane wire on this radio. And that's a fascinating radio, y'all. Now let me show you something cool. This right here is a computer system. It's a Linux computer system. Okay, so it's a SDR, software defined radio. By the way, the G90 is an SDR, software defined radio as well. But this right here, it's a bigger screen. And I just love this radio. Now, let's just say you didn't like, the G90, the Xiegu firmware. Well, let me show you something. I'm going to turn off my radio. I'm going to wait until it turns off, and I'm going to let go of the turn off button. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you something really cool. See? I'm going to show you something really cool. It's this right here, y'all. That SD card right there. 1 second, I'm going to get my SD card out. 1 second, y'all. By the way, all those buttons are super nice. Power button, the app button. Okay. Now, I'm going to take this small SD card right here, and I'm going to put it in this radio. Put this in my radio, right there, okay? So 1 second. Okay, I have that card, SD card, in my radio. Now watch this, y'all. I'm going to hold the power button down, and I'm going to release it, and I'm going to let it power on. Check how cool this is. And I know my screen's a little dirty, but that's just the screen protector. I never took it off. Look at that, y'all. That right there is the Russian R1CBU firmware. Look at that. Look how nice that is. The moon and the wolf. I think that is just super cool. I really do. That's just super neat, y'all. And when I first, put that image, SD card image on my SD card, I thought that wolf and the moon was super cool. And that it worked for me to put this firmware on this radio. It worked like this. It was super cool. Now look at this, y'all. 20 meters. Look.
There a couple hours before everybody else to get everything prepared.
Wow, really good signal. See how it keeps the signal up there? So you can see where, like a memory of like the signals, which is super cool, y'all. Now, that waterfall is just so nice, y'all. I think the R1CBU firmware is a very nice firmware. But in my opinion, I like both firmwares. But this one right here, I'm not going to lie, the decode for CW is way better on this. Not only that, but this can do FT8 decode, y'all. Let me just show you, okay? Let me just show you here. I'm going to go to 40 meters. Whoops. That's VFO-B, the VFO-A. Okay. The buttons are a little different, like from my G90 to my X6100. A little bit. So let me make sure it's in, yep, upper sideband mode. I'm going to click App, FT8. Just watch it, y'all. I'm going to turn it down because it's a little noisy for you. Just turn it down a little bit. And I turn it down a little bit now. Watch this, y'all. The FT8 should decode. And it tells you the battery percentage and the time, which is really nice. And the battery voltage and percentage as well, which is super nice, y'all. Now, this will decode. Now, you know what? It's strange because sometimes it decodes, but now it hasn't been decoding. So it says the time, though. And I know it's something to do with the clock, supposedly. So, let's see here. I'm kind of not sure why it's not really decoding. Let's see, settings. I'm not sure why it's not really decoding like it should. Time and power. The signal's coming in really good. It just sometimes, most of the time, it decoded for me, and you can see all the call signs and everything. Let me turn that down a little bit, y'all. It should still be decoding with the volume down. I like how it lists the voltage and battery. But it usually shows the call signs and why it's not doing that right now. That's a good question. And if you know, please let me know in the comments. But I really like this firmware. And when it decodes, it's really cool. I'm not sure why it's not decoding now, but it usually does decode. I wonder if I have to put in upper sideband digital. I wonder if that's what I have to do. Let's try that. It could be that, you know. Might not be, but let's turn it up my volume a little bit. Now it could be that could be my volume, because I do have it low because I don't want it to be too loud. But if you know why it's not decoding, please let me know in the comments. But this is the latest firmware for R1 CBU, unless there's a newer one now. RTTY, SWR scanner, GPS. Look at that, y'all. There's GPS. There's a way you can use GPS, which is super cool. Okay. And then you could go to like a CW, and you could literally decode. It'll decode signals for you. And when you use your CW, or keyer, excuse me, then you could actually see what you're saying on here. But I think this is a lot more accurate than the X6100 firmware. It's more accurate for decoding, I think. See? Especially if the signal's really good and strong. Find. Some things it's not going to get perfect, but I think it's a better decoder on this firmware than the Xiegu X6100 firmware. But anyways, y'all, so I'm going to go off this frequency to where it's not on CW. That's pretty nice, y'all. View signals on air. It's really nice. And if you don't know CW, you could easily use that to communicate, which is super cool, y'all. So what I'm going to do, okay, I'm going to turn this my radio off. I'm going to let go of the power button so it turns itself off. Okay. Now I'm going to take this SD card out. That way, all you had to do, I'm going to give it just a few more seconds, just, you know. But my SD card is not in the back now. As you can see, kind of, right there, it's not in the back. Okay, now I'm going to turn my radio on. I didn't want to turn it on too soon. I hold my button until now it says X6100. And guess what, y'all? My radio is back to normal right now. So there we go, y'all. And it's back to normal. Memory channels, all that. It's back to normal. So anyways, y'all, this is Josh Hayes. I hope you all enjoyed this video about the Xiegu X6100 firmware. Have a wonderful day, and may God bless you all. And I have a good suggestion. If you're trying to use SWR sweep, I like to turn my power all the way down to 0.1 watt or 1/10 of a watt, because if the SWR is high, I don't want it to hurt the radio. So I think that's a good point, y'all, to make sure that the power level is very, very low when checking SWR. Because if the SWR is 4 and above, it could hurt the radio, in my opinion. So, anyways, y'all, anyways, have a wonderful day. I hope I was able to help you looking at the different firmware for this radio. I'm sure there's other firmware that'll be coming out, newer R1CBU firmware, and also newer Xiegu firmware, and probably other people in our ham radio community making their own firmware. And it's just really exciting. Anyways, y'all, have a wonderful day. God bless you all. On 73. Thank you very much. God bless you.